spiritual gumbo. I didn't have a name for this one, so we're just gonna, whenever I come up with it in the end, that's what will be the name and the title. We leave off on the no good deed, though. No, not the no good deed. Divine intervention. And to some of my closer compatriots whose emails I have, I might have sent you some of the little. It's a link to a website. 8 health benefits of coriander seed. I just thought that was interesting. I just wanted to send that to y'all. Just to, and the fact of how it was likened to taste like honey and wafers, because we know that they don't taste like that now, but understanding the health properties that it has on top of the way that it tastes, it's just, it's so amazing, you know, man, so amazing. Plus whatever properties the Most High God put in it, you know, like, but these are just things that they still know that it can do right now. Wanted to throw that out there. Now we pick up in verse 8 of chapter 17, and it's going to pick up with Amalek, right? And what just happens is that they're in I want to say they're in Koreb, and the people pretty much revile Moses and threaten him, and by other means, because Moses is fearful that they're going to stone him. So the Lord tells him, says, look, take your rod, go get all the elders of like all the different tribes, pretty much of the children of Israel, and then go to this place, and then you're gonna go and you're gonna smite the rock, you're gonna hit it, right? And water shall come from it, and the people are gonna drink. Now what happens is that Moses calls it a name. He calls it reviling and temptation, or temptation and reviling, excuse me. Because the reviling of the children of Israel, and because they tempted the Lord, saying, is the Lord among us or not? So, understand that because now they've been fed, right? Now you get tested. See what I'm saying? Now it's time for like your first test. And here we go. In verse 8. And Amalek came and fought with Israel in Rephidim. And Moses said to Joshua, choose out for thyself mighty men, and go forth and set the army in array against Amalek tomorrow. And behold, I shall stand on the top of the hill, and the rod of God will be in my hand. Yeah, Andre. So this is that one. There we go. Yep. I just hadn't read it to actually get into it. But yep, this is that. Yep, Andre. This is that part. And Moses said to Joshua, choose out for thyself mighty men, and go forth, and set the army in array, and in array against Amalek tomorrow. And I'll stop right there. That's very interesting. First, we have to recognize that these guys just came out of a whole land, right on. So you have to have battle array. Listen, if they have battle array, this should tell you how strong the Egyptians were, how badass the Egyptians were. Excuse my language. Do you understand? Because they're ready to fight against these guys, but they wanted nothing to do with those Egyptians. Should tell you exactly how well trained the Egyptians were, and how well equipped they were. Everything, all those things. Sounds like if these people were related to the Hyksos, it sounds very, very similar. You know, have chariots come into Egypt. You're kind of strong and powerful at first. They find ways to try to, mitigate that force by putting certain of the people to work. But there's still a warrior class among them. And this warrior class is about to go to war, right? Verse 10. And Joshua did as Moses said to him. And he went out and set the army in array against Amalek. And Moses and Aaron and Or went up to the top of the hill. And it came to pass, when Moses lifted up his hands, Israel prevailed. And when he let them down, Amalek prevailed. But the hands of Moses were heavy. And they took a stone and put it up under him, and he sat upon it. And Aaron and Or supported his hands, and Aaron and Or supported his hands, one side, one on this side, and the other on that. And the hands of Moses were supported till the going down of the sun. And Joshua routed Amalek, and all his people with the slaughter of the sword. And the Lord said to Moses, write this for a memorial in a book, and speak this in the ears of Joshua, for I will utterly blot out the memorial of Amalek from under heaven. Stop right there. I need y'all to understand. This is cold. Yeah, so Andre, this is exactly that part. But I just hadn't read, so I couldn't. I wasn't about to tell myself yeah or no, even though my first thought was yes. But anyway, so understand. Moses gets tired. They get a rock for him to sit on. Or and Aaron come up there, holding up his arms. And I can't stress this enough. The rod is a beacon of some sort. In the spectral realm, the rod is pretty much channeling energy that is essentially sending off to the people to prevail against what would be giants and things like that. So I'm not going to say that there were regular men jumping around at heights that they normally wouldn't jump around at and do things that they wouldn't normally do, right? Or men that could actually put the an arrow from a quiver to the bow in rapid succession and do so skillfully, right? I mean, there's a lot of different little things that I could point out, or maybe just a freak of nature ability, like being extremely strong or extremely fast. You're not going to read that there. But understand that when he lets his hands down, that beacon, you see, the signal is no longer receptive. So therefore the people aren't doing exactly what they're going to do when his arms are up. Trying to break it down to you. Just like I'm going to break down the walls of Jericho one day again, but just not today. We're not even close to that. Going forward. Verse 13. And Joshua routed Amalek and all his people with the slaughter of the sword. And the Lord said to Moses, write this for a memorial in a book, and speak this in the ears of Joshua, for I will utterly blot out the memorial of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar to the Lord, and called the name of it, the Lord my refuge. For with the secret hand the Lord wages war upon Amalek to all generations. Listen, did you hear that? For with a secret hand the Lord wages war upon Amalek to all generations. So if the seed of Amalek is here right now, guess what that means? Thank you. Verse 1 of chapter 18. And Jotham, the priest of Midian, the father-in-law of Moses, heard of all that the Lord did to his people Israel. For the Lord brought Israel out of Egypt. And Jotham, the father-in-law of Moses, took Zipporah, the wife of Moses, after she had been sent away, and her two sons, the name of the one son Gershom, his father saying, I was a sojourner in a strange land, and the second Eleazar saying, for the God of my father is my helper, and he has rescued me out of the hand of Pharaoh. Stop right there. Note again that when the names mean something specific, Moses' names mean I took you out of the water. Stop it. Verse 5. And Jotham, the father-in-law of Moses, and his sons and his wife went forth to Moses into the wilderness, where he encamped on the Mount of God. And it was told Moses, saying, behold, thy father-in-law Jotham is coming to thee, with thy wife and thy two sons with him. And Moses went forth to meet his father-in-law, and did him reverence, and kissed him. And they embraced each other, and he brought them into the tent. And Moses related to his father-in-law all things that the Lord did to Pharaoh, and all the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and all the labor that had befallen them in the way, and that the Lord had rescued them out of the hand of Pharaoh, and out of the hand of the Egyptians, And Jotham was amazed at all the things which the Lord did to them. For as much as he rescued them out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hands of Pharaoh, for as much he rescued them out of the hands of the Egyptians and out of the hands of Pharaoh. Now stop right there. Have to stress this. Have to stress this. It is an important factor. And I'll pick it up and I'll find it. It's in my backpack, so I'll have to do it later. But remember in the book of Enoch when it talks about the different genealogies or the different genera of animals that come off? Do you notice that a lion and a tiger are different? Do you notice, hold on, let me just get to my point, that a dog and a wolf are not the same? They're different genera. Just wanted you to understand that. It's a crucial thing. We'll talk about that later. Don't worry. But it has much to do with the Philistines and the Egyptians going forward. Just in case people thought that all the animals were the same and it didn't matter. No, it matters. Verse 10. And Jotham said, Blessed be the Lord, because he has rescued them out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of Pharaoh. Now know I that the Lord is great above all gods, because of this wherein they attacked them. Listen. It's funny. It says right here in the symbol, it says, the meaning appears to be the Lord showed his superiority on this occasion when the enemy attacked the Israelites. Now, why this is so important is because we have to recognize that it's saying that for this reason in particular, did the Egyptians get touched? Had they not followed them, it never happened to them. That he had already killed all the firstborn, right? So I'm not even going to go into how I know that affected Pharaoh's army, because there was people who died who were probably greatly important and would have just known not to go into the water. Neither here nor there. But the fact of the matter is that once they lose this force, it allows for invading forces to come into Egypt and then take over later on. This is a keynote into Egyptian history and the actual downfall of them. That is the start of the downfall of the Egyptian Empire. And when I say the start of the downfall, I literally mean that, because when you hear later, like the Egyptians are hiring like mercenaries and stuff like that, it's obviously because they don't have an army large enough to do what they would normally be able to do. Man, it's so deep. I just can't get away. I can't get too carried away into that, but I have to speak on these things because they do matter. It is a crucial, important thing when guys run away into Egypt and go stow away there later. It's important for people to know that Joshua is an Ephrathite. So he's maybe a quarter Egyptian, at least an eighth. Just throwing that out there. Verse 12. And Jotham, the father-in-law of Moses, took whole burnt offerings and sacrifices for God. For Aaron and all the elders of Israel came to eat bread with the father-in-law of Moses before God. And it came to pass after the morning that Moses sat up to judge the people. And all the people stood by Moses from morning till evening. And Jotham, having seen that Moses did to the people, says, What is this that thou doest to the people? Wherefore thou sittest alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning till evening. And Moses says to his father-in-law, Because the people come to me to seek judgment from God. For whenever there is a dispute among them, they come to me, and I give judgment upon each, and I teach them the ordinances of God and his law. So listen to this. He's the only one who can teach at this point because they trust him the most. This is key. Now listen to what Jotham tells him. This moment, I don't like it. I understand it, what he says, but I do believe this is an undoing in a way, and you'll find out why I say this later. And he says this is from sun up to sundown. So from the time the sun is up to the time it gets dark out, and he apparently Jotham didn't like what he was seeing, right? And so Jotham says, and the father-in-law of Moses said to him, verse 17, "Thou dost not this thing rightly, dost not this thing rightly. Thou will wear away with intolerable weariness, both those and all the people with thee. This thing is hard. Thou wilt not be able to endure it thyself alone. Now then, hearken to me, and I will advise thee, and God shall be with thee. Be thou to the people in the things pertaining to God, and thou shalt bring their matters to God, and thou shalt testify them to the ordinances of God and his law, and thou shalt show them in the ways in which they shall walk, and the works which they shall do. And do thou look out for thyself and do thou look out for thyself out of all the people, able men, fearing God, righteous men, hating pride, and thou shalt set them over the people captains of thousands, and captains of hundreds, and captains of fifties, and captains of tens, and they shall judge the people at all times. And the too burdensome matter then shall bring to thee, and then the too burdensome matter they shall bring to thee." So anything that's too much, and they shall judge the smaller cases. So they shall relieve thee and help thee. If thou wilt do this thing, God shall strengthen thee, and thou shalt be able to attend, and all this people shall come with thee, shall come with peace into their own place. Stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. Do you know my issue with that? Is that the only person who's getting the words from the Most High God is Moses. That's the issue. Check this right here out. How many instances do you think were solved by people who heard a judgment that was likened to their matter? Well, then they understood that this is what we probably have to do as well. Thank you very much. See, the man didn't want Moses to have all that power. He thought that it was going to make him go crazy. He thought that the people would be angry because they weren't gonna. They would never have their matter listened to. Listen, I understand what he's saying, but that's bull. That's bull. That's garbage. That's garbage. Because for that to be the case, Moses would have to have been able to. People would have to know the law already. And if these guys already listen, it's awkward that he would have to tell these people to take it upon themselves, right? To do the right thing. Understanding the guys, like, you got to look for people who don't have pride in them and stuff like that. Okay, so if that's the case, bruh, Moses is not operating in pride. It's written down later that Moses is the most meek man. Once again, this is one of those undoing moments. It's an undoing moment. I can't stress it enough. Just like when the Lord takes the spirit off of Moses and puts it on 70 other people. A moment where things become undone, but that's neither here nor there. A blessing for people, but I don't know. I don't know. Let me just keep reading, and then I'm going to turn it off because I'm about to be done. Verse 22. No, verse 23. If thou wilt do this thing, God shall strengthen thee, and thou shalt be able to attend all this people. And thou shalt be able to attend, and all this people shall come with peace into their own place. Now, that's funny because I'm pretty sure Moses does this, and I'm pretty sure the people don't come with peace into their own place. But that's neither here nor there. And Moses hearkened to the voice of his father-in-law, and did whatsoever he said to him. And Moses chose out able men of all Israel, And he made them captains of thousands, and captains of hundreds, and captains of fifties, and captains of tens over the people. And they judged the people at all times. And every too burdensome matter they brought to Moses, but every light matter they judged themselves. And Moses dismissed his father-in-law, and he returned to his own land. We're going to stop right there. Because we're about to go down. This is chapter 19. And I just want y'all to really just hear what's about to happen. And then understand what just took place. Man, it's so deep. We're going to talk about that battle later. And we're going to have to do another epic review here in a little bit. Appreciate your time. Spiritual Gumbo, out.